Hello, YouTube. So, I had a few thoughts. Some things have been going down in the culture that I just kind of wanted to address, particularly because they involve some people for whom I hold a lot of respect. And yeah. So the big thing that's happened in the last couple weeks, apparently I did not watch it, was Mr. Rogan had Jack Dorsey on his podcast. And I guess people were incredibly unhappy with the big toes handling of Mr. Dorsey. Once again, I didn't watch the podcast. I've kind of given up on Rogan. I think it's just the continual, it's like, I'm libertarian to an extent, but he doesn't have a lot to say that I'm interested in. He talks about weed and like drugs a lot, so I'm just not that into Mr. Rogan. But apparently a lot of people were highly irritated with him. He just softballed Dorsey on a lot of the deplatforming on Twitter, and apparently there was such a backlash that he ended up having Dorsey back on, along with one of the lawyers for Twitter, I guess. And this, I did listen to certain portions of it because it involved, he actually brought up Gavin McInnes. And I wanted to clear some things up because I've followed the Proud Boys and Gavin and have been a Proud Boys girl since its inception. And when I tell people that, if you aren't part of something or you haven't seen something evolve and all you've heard is the narrative from the mainstream media, you tend to have a little bit of a misconception about what it is. So I'm going to explain it in a way that is truthful and kind of dispel these myths about what the Proud Boys are. The Proud Boys were, yes, started by Gavin McInnes, and it started as a joke, actually. Gavin tells a story about how he was at one of his son's plays, or one of his kids' plays, and for the talent portion, a little kid goes up there, and instead of playing an instrument or, doing something talented, he starts singing "Proud of Your Boy," which apparently is a song in the movie Aladdin. And it's just this, if you could just package the mentality of victimhood, kind of this self-deprecating yet narcissistic victimhood mentality, that's this song. It's a very hysterical song, and it just hit Gavin funny, and he started making fun of it. And the Proud Boys were named after that song out of satire. And it was never a real structured, like, movement or anything. It was, a bunch of guys getting together. It's like, in order to be a part of it, you have to, have your buddies throw punches at you while you named breakfast cereals. Like, stuff like that. The kind of the ethos or the narrative of the group was being Western chauvinists, which, look up the word chauvinist. It simply means to be pro something, to be proud of something, to have a partiality towards something, which is the West. The group has chapters all over the world. I mean, literally, there are chapters in New Zealand and Australia and the United States and Canada, and just everywhere. And it's dudes who get together and do guy stuff. And I think that's something that's really been missing in our culture. There's such this demonization of men. Like men can't congregate without people thinking that they're plotting, like they're plotting something. They're evil, and because all that toxicity getting in one place just has to be evil. It's a bunch of dudes who appreciate patriotism and appreciate venerating the housewife, being providers, being a father to your kids. One of the rules is that you gotta stop jacking off all the time. Like, some of it is just really silly stuff, but other things are really profound. Like getting dudes, millennials, to stop playing video games and beating off, and like go get a job and actively try to be a positive contributor to society. I don't understand how that's bad. I don't understand how the core of it is bad. The bad publicity came primarily when all this stuff was going down in Portland. And let me get this straight too. Joe Rogan made a comment about how Gavin used inflammatory language. Because there have been occasions where Gavin says, you know, fighting solves everything. The Proud Boys were not established to be the counterpart to Antifa. It's not what it was about. When all this stuff went down in Portland for the Patriot Prayer Rally, the Patriot Prayer Rally was headed by, I don't remember the gentleman's name, but it was literally a prayer rally. These gentlemen had a permit to walk down the streets carrying an American flag and praying. And Antifa, as they do, always shows up the same way they did at the deplorable after Trump's election. They show up throwing like glass bottles full of urine, throwing feces. Like Lauren Southern has had M80s thrown at her head, bricks. Like, one Antifa member went around with a bike lock, like cracking people's skulls open. Antifa is a terrorist organization. And right now, Gavin's in court. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the Proud Boys, on a couple of occasions, in self-defense, not going looking for a fight, but had gone to free speech rallies and were attacked by Antifa. And when you are being physically attacked, most normal men, it is your instinct to fight back. And that's what they did. That's what they did in Portland. These Antifa members showed up at the Patriot Prayer Rally. The members of Antifa were telling the cops, you know, yelling slurs and cursing at the cops. The Proud Boys were completely unarmed, as always. They're not like Antifa, where Antifa brings, you know, baseball bats and bicycle locks and weapons, brass knuckles, and shows up at libertarian or patriot events just looking to punch a Nazi, as they always say. So in Portland, the Proud Boys accompanied the Patriot Prayer Rally, and as had been the case in the past, Antifa began violently attacking members of the Proud Boys and members of the Patriot Prayer Rally. And the Proud Boys fought back. A handful of them fought back after they were physically attacked. There was a rumor going around that the FBI had put the Proud Boys on a terrorist list, which is asinine. The rumor started because a sheriff at some small town had written in his report that something along those lines about the FBI seeing them as a terrorist organization. The FBI doesn't even do that. It's the most it's such an asinine thing, that what the left clings onto. The FBI is not about labeling who is and who isn't, a terrorist organization. Except like ISIS, like big things like, ISIS maybe. The Proud Boys are not a terrorist organization. Period. That's a lie. And Gavin had to make a whole video because the Proud Boys that were involved in this, kind of brawl in Portland are now facing prison charges for defending themselves. When they were unarmed and they were beaten with, what are they called, balaclavas, and having bottles and bricks thrown at their heads, basically trying to kill them. They're facing, 3 of them are facing, one of them's facing a year in prison, one of them's facing all kinds of probation time. A couple of the Proud Boys took a plea just so they could do community service. But the other 3 were like, no, I'm not saying that I was wrong when I wasn't wrong. We didn't do anything wrong. And they haven't done anything wrong. If it's wrong to defend yourself when you are in a physical altercation, when someone physically provokes you to violence, then yeah, they fought back. That's what you do. So that's a bunch of BS. Joe Rogan didn't understand that. And I don't, just to be clear, I don't think Antifa should be banned from social media. I think that's how we find out who the bad guys are. Like, unless they're making direct calls to violence, the Proud Boys and Antifa should be able to be on Twitter. But I think the tide is turning with social media. And a quick update, you probably can't see my shirt. I've got my Free Tommy shirt on, which I bought toward the end of last year, September of last year, when I did all those live streams for y'all. When Tommy Robinson was thrown in prison for disrupting the peace or some arbitrary reason, wasn't given a trial, was thrown directly in jail, spent 2+ months in solitary confinement to find out that the charges were totally unjustified. And the latest development there is that after he released his documentary, Panodrama, the BBC didn't have anything to attack him with. And now Tommy is taking it from every angle. He's been deplatformed from Facebook and Instagram. YouTube hasn't deplatformed him yet. I'm just waiting for that to come. But he received legal notice that they're going to try to charge him again on the same charge for causing anxiety. First of all, in the first case, they said that because he was holding his phone outside of the court, that he could have, the men in this rape gang, this grooming gang, had already been charged. They said that he was violating the laws of reporting that it could have influenced the case. The case was already over. They had already been charged. He hadn't broken any law, and that's what the high court, the Leeds Crown Court, ultimately determined. They threw the case out. Now they're trying to recharge him. He goes back to court on March 22nd. They're trying to recharge him for causing anxiety to these rapists. One of whom, like after they were charged, they were released on bail. One of the rapists left the country. He's not even in jail. And yet they're trying Tommy Robinson again for emotional damages to these pedophiles, this rape gang. Like the level of insanity, I can't even begin to tell you. It never ends. They won't stop. They want him dead. They want him gone. They want him shut up and shut down. And this leftist radical name, I believe his name is Mike Stitchberry. You can find him on Twitter. Some of the most heinous, disgusting tweets. Death to Whitey, how he wants a white genocide and all this stuff. This legal letter was supposed to be delivered to Tommy's house. It was delivered by a jihadist lawyer, and the mainstream media was able to obtain the location where Tommy's children were living. Tommy wasn't even there. He was in Finland. He was out of the country. These people show up at Tommy's house, basically doxing his family, trying to live stream it and dox his family, where his children were. The media was involved. This radical left-wing organization, this Mike Stitchberry, who I believe works for The Guardian. If I'm incorrect about that, I'll correct myself in the description of this video. And Tommy was rightly steaming mad about it and went to this Mike Stitchberry's house. The guy doesn't have kids. He went with his own camera to ask him, is it okay to dox a house where my children are playing in the front yard? When he's had 8 different incidences where the authorities have told him that his life and the life of his wife and children are in imminent danger. He wanted to ask this Stitchberry, this doucheberry, is it okay to do that? To show up where my children are? And of course, when Tommy got there, he didn't answer the door. Stitchberry didn't answer the door. But now the mainstream media has spun it that this Stitchberry guy is the victim. That this thug, Tommy Robinson, is showing up at his house and this and that. It's like, really? You're gonna make this guy the victim. Watson, is it Tom Watson? I believe it's Tom Watson. One of the labor reps, MPs, whatever they call it, wrote a letter to Google asking YouTube to deplatform Tommy. They're so worried about Tommy Robinson. Oh, but they're not worried about these leftist activists who send a crackhead, a psychopath, and a jihadi lawyer with a pit bull. That's another thing too. They showed up with this pit bull, literally, and this, like, it's just like this gang of people with cameras and stuff to where his children are playing in the yard. They want him dead. If Tommy Robinson goes to jail, I'm not one for violence. unless it's, you know, provoked, if someone is attacking me, and that's why I take self-defense. But the Proud Boys weren't wrong. I'm still a proud girl. And Tommy Robinson's not wrong. The mainstream media over in the UK wants to shut him up, shut him down, because he's the only voice, the only one that can give the differing, like the correct story. The way that they spun this, where this Mike Stitchberry guy is the victim, you people are out of your mind. And if Tommy goes back to prison, if they try him and they try to do what they did last time, because it was a miracle that he lived the last time. The man still has PTSD. They sent him to the highest Muslim majority prison sentence in all of the UK. That's what they want. They want to shut him up. They want to shut him down. And the United States is maybe 10 years behind what's happening in Europe. So go to www.tr.news. Help out Tommy. Get your free Tommy shirts. Help him out. Because if they take away every single platform, it's impossible for my friends living in the UK to get any news. I generally try to keep y'all updated on what's going on, because at least we have a little more freedom over here, freedom of speech, where we can try to get the lowdown on what's happening. But in the UK, you even mention Tommy's voice on social media, and they suspend your account. They suspend your Facebook or your Instagram or whatever. It's like, where are you building the gulags? Because that's what's coming next. It's insane and it's ridiculous. I stand behind Gavin. I stand behind Tommy. I stand behind free speech. I don't think Alex Jones or Antifa or Tommy or Gavin should be removed from these platforms. And all these social media Silicon Valley leftists are doing is creating more dissension and more animosity where there does not have to be. There's such a demand for Nazis and white supremacists. It's like the Proud Boys, a group that has black guys, white guys, Jewish guys, gay guys, that's all inclusive and just gets around and, like, you know, has beer and talks, like, drinks beer and talks about America, is a terrorist group. God, you people are annoying. Freaking annoying. We love you, Tommy. We're behind you. Talk to y'all real soon. Bye.